Hi there, Wycliffe Barrett, Xplane dedicated. I've been wanting to review this aircraft for quite some time, the A300 from iniBuilds, but had an issue with it. Well, actually, it wasn't an issue with the aircraft, it was an issue with my mouse. I'll explain right after the intro.
November 180 Bravo Bravo, good afternoon to you. Report your altitude? 2,000 feet on 1014, Bravo Bravo. Bravo Bravo.
The iniBuilds A300 has got to be one of the most complex aircraft I've come across in all my years of Xplane and Xplane 11. When I say complex, it's much like any other aircraft, but the depth and breadth of the systems in this aircraft are absolutely phenomenal. I've had this aircraft for about 3 weeks now, and I've been wanting to do this review since I got it, but unfortunately I had an issue with it, and as I explained in the intro, it was something that actually was causing a number of problems, but it wasn't an issue with the aircraft as such. It was an issue with my mouse. And what I had to do, and I got to thank Emma Bentley and MJ, who is one of the developers for iniBuilds, is they identified what the issue was. And what the issue was that the scroll speed of my mouse was too great, and so therefore that was causing me problems with many of the click spots around the aircraft, and I found it really quite frustrating for a couple of weeks, in actual fact, that I couldn't do what I wanted to do with the aircraft because I couldn't identify. I could identify that I had an issue, but I couldn't figure out what it was. Anyway, it was to do with the mouse, and apparently out of the thousands of copies of this aircraft that have been sold, the percentage of people who have this problem with their mouse is incredibly low. I'm probably about the third or fourth person that the developers have seen with this issue. Now, whether it's to do with the fact that my wireless mouse is not an expensive mouse, or it's just to do with the DPI and the scroll speed, I don't know. But we've sorted that out, and so therefore, as you can see, I can use the mouse perfectly well. I could have done a kind of a tutorial of this aircraft, but there are so many fantastic tutorials out there that I didn't really think there was a point in doing that. And so whilst you can see me doing certain things here, I'd rather much talk about the fidelity of the aircraft and the systems on board and some of the features. One of the many features is this electronic flight bag, whereby you do an awful lot of the computing of the data for the FMC in the EFB here. And you can see that I'm just sorting out some of my settings at the moment, and I've got it set to pounds as opposed to kilograms, and I've turned up the volumes. You can see the thrust acceleration speed there is 1,000 feet, and thrust reduction is 1,000 feet. Simple things like that, which really enhance the overall enjoyment of this aircraft. Just turning up the volumes a little. The volumes are very good, but they tend to be on a little bit of the quiet side, but that's okay. I'm just saving everything there. So with this aircraft, before you can really do anything, is you've got to load your fuel in and your payload and your baggage and cargo, etc. And really you need to get that information from your flight plan. So you need to create your flight plan first, and this aircraft is integrated with SimBrief. So you create your flight plan in SimBrief, and then you get all your data from your flight plan and input it into the electronic flight board before you even put any power on the aircraft. Here you are, you can see I'm powering up the aircraft with external power first. So the batteries go on first, then you use external power until it's time for you to start the APU, which is generally just before pushback. Anyway, let's just talk about some of the systems of this aircraft. So it's got a detailed custom FMS designed to replicate an on-the-line experience. SID stars and SEC flight plans are available. There's custom VNAV and LNAV flight plans. Altitude and speed constraints and holds are all available within the FMC. There's an independent FMS with the state-of-the-art high-definition pop-outs with high-resolution cockpit displays, and as you can see here, some of the views that I've got set up, you know, the reflections on the glass are absolutely amazing. Custom system rendition, including bespoke hydraulic electrical pressurisation and fuel operation, including the unique A300 600R trim tank functionality. which I haven't looked into just yet, but believe me, there's an awful lot. One of the things that I did find really interesting about this aircraft is that this was actually first designed, I believe, in 1969 and went into service not until, I think it was the mid-70s. And at that time, even though Airbus were using computers to manage their aircraft, they didn't really trust computers that much. And so you've got a computer-based system, or should I say a glass-based system, but also you've got the old analog system as well as backup. And you can see this here very much so on the central console there, that whilst you can see all the engine management on the glass screen to the right there below the gear lever, you've got all the engine management clocks and dials in the middle of the console there, from the old analog steam driven. So they ran the two of them together because people didn't really trust the computers of the 70s to think that they could do a very good job. In actual fact, they did a better job than they anticipated, and over time, as we well know, the whole cockpit of an Airbus has changed. So this is a classic Airbus, the A300-600R, and it does do things slightly differently, certainly in the navigation area of the aircraft. But, you know, it's something you get to learn. In fact, starting it up, in actual fact, is very much the same as a modern Airbus, but just slight differences. One thing I will say is that originally, when Airbus first built the first aircraft, and this, the Airbus A300-600, they very, very much copied what Boeing were doing. So things like auto throttle, autopilot, and things like that were exactly the same and labelled the same as in a Boeing aircraft. But then they decided to change things, and so auto throttle became auto thrust instead. Just simple nuances that differentiate the two aircraft between Airbus and Boeing. So there's unique behavioural characteristics of the A300-600R simulated throughout each system for the most excellent immersive experience. Extensively tuned flight models to capture the A300-600R characteristics, including accurate performance of landing and takeoff behaviour with custom ground effects simulation. Now, towards the end of this flight, where I was going to Glasgow, as my usual Cardiff-Glasgow training flight, the landing, approach and landing was absolutely perfect. The aircraft handled it absolutely spot on, from top of descent all the way down to the runway. Didn't seem to be any kind of mishaps or missteps along the way. It really did work very, very well. There's a custom stalling behaviour included in the aerodynamic buffet, so very much like the modern Airbus, of course, that you'll get stall warnings and the aircraft will try and attempt to get out of situations and save itself from any kind of pilot error. There's a custom taxiing behaviour following extensive consultation from empirical sources. I've got my taxi set up so that I've got nose wheel steering on my tiller, but also you can just have it on your rudder pedals, so it's rudder steering, which I think is really quite useful. There are two variants of this aircraft. There is the freighter version and the passenger version, and there are two sets of engines that you can use. There's the General Electric GE CF6 80C2 Alpha 1, and then there's the Pratt & Whitney PW4158 variants as well. So you've got two engines, two types of engines. There's also even an ACARS wind uplink, so you can request weather at your departure airport and your destination airport, which is really, really clever. Overall, I think this aircraft is absolutely brilliant. It's so well modelled. It's phenomenal. It's got 4K PBR texturing in both exterior and interiors of the aircraft, high-resolution pixel-perfect cockpit displays, which we're quite used to seeing in Xplane 11. Authentic sounds. There's a custom F-mod sound pack with two unique sound sets for the two different engines. It's audio dynamically balanced with a 3D environment coupled with location-dependent audio, as well as the inclusion of audio based on a variety of environmental conditions. It is a phenomenal aircraft. As I say, very much different from the modern Airbus, and as you can see here, as we prepare for our landing into Glasgow, everything is just running in tip-top condition, running in perfect order, and you only have one button really to click on once you've captured your ILS, and that is the land button. Also, not forgetting, of course, with this being very different from the modern Airbus, that you have to input the ILS frequency yourself and course down on the central console. So here we come, coming into Glasgow, just landing. I did cut the flight very, very short, and that's probably because of the beginning where we saw the all the stuff with the EFB, but I can assure you this aircraft is a joy to fly. It's expensive. It costs 83 quid or £89. I'll find the exact price. It's £69.99, but that's without VAT. £69.99 without VAT. So then VAT goes on top of that. It takes it up to about £83, if I recall. Incredibly expensive, but you get an awful lot for your money. You get a heck of a lot. There's loads of videos online. I highly recommend Q8 Pilot's tutorial video. That's where I learnt an awful lot about this aircraft. Brilliant, absolutely superb. It is expensive, so it's down to you. If you can afford it, then buy yourself a copy. My name's Wycliffe Barrett. This is Xplane Dedicated, and I hope you found this review of this aircraft useful. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and I am so pleased that I finally got it. You all take care, and we'll see you soon. Cheerio. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, share, and add a comment. It all helps the channel, and it helps me. Bye.